Welcome to another episode of Co-op Mode Reviews. I am Mike Espy.
And I'm Ben Teed. How are you?
I am doing wonderful, man.
Good.
How about yourself?
I'm doing very well. It's been a month. It's been quite a month.
Playing this game.
Hold on.
Actually, there's a history. Yeah,
It's a year, I will say. It's been a year. You didn't say how has it been. You didn't say how's the game been. The game's been a year.
the game, yeah.
The month between us talking about Rocket League. Was it Rocket League?
Yeah.
Yeah, Rocket League, and then to now. See, that's what kind of month it's been. I can't even remember what game. Goddamn. Yes, I'm just talking about outside regular life. Everything's fine.
That's good.
I'm
glad things are good.
Damn, like things are picking up with work and picking up with all sorts of other stuff.
I'm feeling the brunt. I'm feeling the weight of my work right now. It's and it's not harping on them by any means. It's just that it's near the end of the school year, especially the summer, near the end of the spring semester. That's when things get a little crazy. But also when you have a coworker that's part time and who's gonna be taking on more daddy duties here?
So maybe it might be a good thing that we've been playing like lighter games, like
like
Rocket League feels light. Trine feels like it's not too heavy.
No, you're correct, and I just want to clarify: it's not a harping on them. It's just that it's the work.
And another thing about them.
No. It's just that the workload gets passed on to me, and it logistically so, and I get it. But you know what? It is tiresome. And when I come home from work sometimes that even playing games is just like that's how busy it's still been that I go, I don't even want to do it. Like I only made it through 90 minutes of watching The Force Awakens and it's like I have to go to bed. Like that's how tired I get from work. So aside from that, the game that we are actually going to talk about today is Trine 2. And
the complete story or no?
We'll talk about that.
I think it's
later.
Just Trine 2. I don't think we did the DLC. We about did.
We about did
and we're almost tricked into it all.
Pretty much. There's a story behind that, people, by the way. There is a story. So, we actually started off playing Trine, of course, and we uploaded majority of our playthroughs on YouTube. The last portion of the file actually got corrupt to the point where it's like, well, we don't get to see the end of the story or whatever.
For clarification, I would say that it was a combination of how buggy the game is in certain points. My internet connection, I would probably think it's probably my internet connection with me living where I'm at, which is out in the boonies. Backwoods, Indiana, and then just finding the time, because like the time of day that we were playing tends to slow down the internet as well. So it was actually much better for us to get together and couch co-op it. Which,
oh my god!
Which honestly, I should say, usually my recommendation comes at the final word on the game. But I would actually recommend this before any spoilers, before any other thing about the game and how we feel in the score. I should say I would recommend if you are playing this co-op to do it couch co-op wise, because you won't have any. The game will still be a little weird and buggy. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
But there's no absolute freaking mess that we had some of those nights playing over online.
Yeah, it was mainly online. Online was our biggest issue with this game, and I don't think that was the game itself. It's just the place where you reside with your family is they're not up with the times.
There's only one pipe of internet coming to my little one-horse town, and that pipe is, although it's a pipe and internet's coming through it, it's not nearly fat enough. We need a fat pipe. We need a fiber wire come all the way to our little town.
Yeah.
And, a man can dream someday. But and especially when we try to play, I'm like, hey, I'm off of work. It's 5-6 o'clock at night. Let's hop online and play. And everyone's on, everyone's on watching Netflix or streaming or getting on Facebook or whatever when they're off work. and it's difficult.
How do you live with yourself, Ben?
Well, normally it's not that hard, but when we try to do something very broadband heavy, like play a game together, co-op wise, when timing and jumping and platforming is very important, and to work as a team, it gets fucking hard. Anyways, the other thing too I'd like to point out is there is no team chat in the game.
No, there's not.
We obviously work our way around it. It's not that big a deal because we have Skype and anything else that we want to.
There's Skype, TeamSpeak, Discord.
Any of that stuff works
I've
fine.
Been using Discord a lot lately.
The trouble is really just finding. Not that TeamSpeak needs to be in every game or something like that. It's just. If it was
that type of game, though, you really do.
You're going to want to talk to somebody. So I'm very surprised that element isn't in there. So that's all. I'm just pointing that out. I'm not trying to
I agree.
trash the game.
I agree that this is the type of game where I don't recommend. I would not recommend it playing by yourself either, because when I think about it, like it's games like this and Outland, where when you said you played Outland by yourself for the first time, and I was playing it with you. I was just thinking to myself, how the hell did he do this by himself?
No, and I was playing Trine, the first Trine by myself for a little while too. And it's okay.
I just think the experience, like, this is not with all games though, but I think with these type of games, it really does elicit having another person or persons with you to play it.
I'm sorry, the listeners aren't seeing me shake my head and go, no, two. When he said players, I think the sweet spot of this game is 2 players. I feel like if it's just you, it's challenging in its own. It's like hard mode if you're playing alone. Like I feel like you having to switch between all 3 characters would be kind of psychotic and crazy because you don't have another player to like. You can stand on Pontius's shield and jump up, or the wizard can hold on to. Or what's his name? Amadeus can hold on to a cube and you can jump on that and jump across. I feel like if you're by yourself, it's going to be hard. I feel like also if we added another, like a 3rd player into the game, how crazy that would be.
I don't know how we would able.
I don't
think
that. I don't think we could. And we should have
crazy.
tried it at the LAN party because we also played this at a Fort Wayne LAN party, and it was interesting and it played great because of course we're in a LAN, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But there were I don't recommend playing it after like 12 hours of staying up and. You're just straight playing games. Like we played it at like the worst time when we were both freaking tired and like.
It wasn't. It was not the best time to play it, and I don't know what kind of.
But
mood,
we got through some of it. So.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of mood you have to be in to play it, but ultimately I went over to Ben's place and hung out with him, and any type of gaming experience like that, and just in general with games, it's just a lot better because it just reminds me of times where we didn't have that type of internet connection, and if you wanted to game with your friends, you'd go over to the house and play them and just play upon hours, and you would stay the night, guzzle down lots of pop and eat lots of pizza. I mean, those were the good times. And playing this game itself, I don't know if it would really harken back exactly that, but just the idea of just doing what we did was a lot more fun. Like I kind of would think that if we ever did like a Rayman Origins game together or Rayman Legends,
I didn't even think about that.
Something along those lines, that would be,
because that actually has what I would consider very tight platforming controls.
Mm-hmm.
I was just about to ask you, like, generally, how do you feel about this game? Is it fun? What did you do? Like, but I feel like from what we're talking about, we can kind of feel out the edges of this review and thinking like it sounds like we mostly generally liked it with a bunch of hard hitting like problems and things like that. I was just going to ask you in particular, when you mentioned Rayman, like I've been playing that game by myself, by the way, for the past, I'd say about since like last summer, so let's say about 8 months, 9 months.
No, you've also played with some family relatives, right? Like family relatives is redundant.
I played my nephew.
You played your nephew, huh?
I played with my nephew. I played my nephew the game. It's an indie title. No, I played with my 10-year-old nephew. Rayman. I don't know when I played that with him.
It had been a while ago. I remember you talking about that.
Probably was a while ago, but the controls for that are so tight and so forgiving that when it didn't even occur to me during the writing notes or thinking about what to think about to say in this review, to compare it to anything, the floaty controls of Trine 2 remind me almost more of not of a Rayman or a Mario, where I feel like you are like spot on with some of the, even Mario kind of gets a little floaty sometimes.
A little bit.
But the floatiness of, and people who have played these games will know what I'm talking about, Little Big Planet. You know how like the Sackboy in Little Big Planet kind of like floats a little bit, or if like you make a jump and you can't quite hit it, but if you keep tapping A, you can jump up there.
Yeah.
Like I feel like Trine 2 has that, and it is great and horrible at the same time.
So what makes it horrible? I want to know the horrible aspect here.
This is my okay. All right, let's start with the bad, because I swear to God, there's good stuff in this game.
No, there is.
And my score isn't bad either.
Mine is not.
I just want to make sure that I make this clear before I start. My problems with this game, besides the connectivity, besides the missing, things that would honestly help multiplayer stuff or co-op player stuff, is actually with the jumping and with the puzzles and stuff like that. A lot of it feels like it slows the momentum of the game down. There were moments where we'd go from room to room, and by room I mean like screen.
Yeah.
So it would be like a Castlevania or a Spelunky or what where you're side scrolling, but then like when you pass through from one side of the screen to the other, now you're in another part of the game of the level, and so you're trying to pass it, and mostly each room, quote room, because it's mostly outside. I mean the environment's it mostly shows outside and sometimes down in caves and stuff like that. There's hidden parts like you would find in a Super Metroid or a Mario thing. Getting to the point of what I'm trying to say, my problems with some of the jumping and some of the puzzles and stuff like that is that it never quite... First of all, I think it slows the game down a lot. Some of these puzzles, like, we come to a straight halt trying to figure this stuff out, and it's never clever puzzle design. And what I mean by that is, like, when you finish a puzzle in, like... And I'm sorry, I in a game like Portal, I always harken back to, like, these kind of games.
But it's a good example, though.
But those are well-designed.
Those
like,
are well-designed games.
Tried and true, like tested puzzle levels that when you finish them, how do you feel? Like, you feel good after or like if you solve a Zelda puzzle, which they kind of hold your hand sometimes in Zelda. Zelda's more of like an early beginner type of puzzle-y type of thing. What else would there be? Definitely not Dark Souls, because that one's more like hey, you fell down a ditch and you happened to land on a jutting out section of the mountain, and now you can find the secret thing that'll help you win against this boss. Like, it's too like that one's way too.
That's way too obscure.
Yeah. What other ones that, like, what I'm saying is, when you finish a puzzle in Trine 2, it almost feels like you haphazardly, like, crawled your way over to the finish line of this puzzle. It never feels like satisfying. Like, when something clicks into place and you figure out what to do. I honestly can't think of one puzzle where I went, oh, that feels good. Maybe when you lower some of the plants to water the plants and stuff like that to build your path to move on. There's like that's clever, but even then, it's all based on like
the design of it in terms of like what you have to do is not bad at all. It's like accomplishing to complete that design. And what I mean by this is, like, there was never I never felt like there's any sort of clue as to help you out. And I'm not saying that this game had to hold my hand by any means. But I do agree with you that every time we came to something that was more puzzle-like, it was puzzle-esque, it was just more like, I don't know, maybe I was like jogging for like 1 hour and I just barely crossed the whole finish line, and then it's like I have to do more in this triathlon sort of thing. Like it's just it never felt great.
I got an image for you right here.
When
you're the wizard and you have to build a box or a bridge for me to jump on in order to advance, and then I turn into a wizard and then build you a box or a bridge to jump off of just to get across the other side.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a good puzzle.
No.
Because we're not using the environment the way we're supposed to be using. Like, I feel like there are elements in the world that we are supposed to, like, hook a pipe up to here and then push up here and stuff like that. We would bypass all of that by accident, by either jumping or being able to make ourselves jump even further, or being able to do that weird, like, hit A a bunch. Well, I mean, you didn't hit A. You're playing on a keyboard, but
whatever
like,
it was,
whatever jump was on the keyboard or whatever, in order to get to the higher spot. Like, I feel like I should have never been able to make that jump.
Yeah,
the first time it happens, it feels like we got lucky, right?
Yeah.
But post that, and now it just feels like it's not completely thought out in the way that, like, the puzzles don't feel thought out fully, or something like that.
We're trying to game the game here, and
yeah, it honestly felt like we were not cheating, but like we were using what was meant for us, but it didn't seem like we were coming up. It's hard to describe because there are multiple ways to figure out the puzzles, but the thing is, the multiple ways of figuring out the puzzles, when we're like you said, gaming the game, that's not really like, oh, there's multiple paths and each one feels right. It's more like we just cheated to get past all this, or because we're two players, one of us can hold up a box.
Yeah.
And the game tries to limit you by as soon as I jump on a box that SB made, it would automatically drop. It would try to, we're trying to limit you, but honestly, that was enough a lot of the times to make us do that.
It was, yeah, it totally was.
It's kind of silly.
And the thing is, we did it. I would say at least 90% of the time that's what we did, because more than once.
That's my memory of this game, is you drawing a box, me jumping across, then me turning into the wizard, and then drawing a box for you to cross. And when you do that the first time, you feel great. But when we did it about, what did you say, like 60% of the game?
More than that.
I'm exaggerating, but like,
yeah,
there's gotta be more to the game than that.
I mean, because when we were playing this, I was wondering, how does one play this game by themselves? Because I was unable to, with a partner, try to solve this puzzle here, because obviously you could do this one player. So there has to be a way for you to water this plant over that's far across the screen by concocting up some path for it. And I just remember thinking to ourselves, how the hell how do you do this with one person? But yet we just barely scraped by with two people.
Then by scraping by, I think what you're talking about is trying to get just 10 yards, like in football, just to get to the next bubble.
First down,
That first down where we had full health and all three characters back and stuff like that. I wonder if, and I've only played a small section of the game, maybe not enough to make this decision, but I wonder if it would be better if it was completely single player. Like I'm saying, with you and I both trying to get across, wonderful, great. Now, imagine if you were by yourself and you had to figure out your way to get up using just those three characters, and you have access to all three, but you didn't have to worry about getting someone else with you.
Yeah.
Because another part of the game that bothered me was, honestly, this had nothing to do with the broadband or the internet connection or anything like that. When we would get separated, and there would be a lower level and upper level, and there's times. Well, that time in particular, I would say was maybe a bug, and I'm not going to sit there and go fire and brimstone because there was one bug, because all fucking games have bugs.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, like, the game not being able to decide who to follow. Like, I would jump away, and I would move on with trying to find that next bubble. Meanwhile, you're down here scrambling, looking for a way up, and I can't necessarily draw you a thing because our wizard died or something like that. Like, there's no like back out a little bit and show the full screen, show us both on the screen. Like, you can back the camera up and show us both walking and show the environment, maybe, or you could like zoom in when we're both closer together or something. You know what I mean? Like, there wasn't anything like that. I mean, there is, but maybe not to the extent I wanted there to be.
It never did that to accommodate the fact that you could be split up, one's on an upper level and one's on a lower level.
And I'm sure from a design point, that's got to be really difficult to do, because that means you'd have to render that much more in the environment.
No, yeah, I agree. Oh, absolutely.
Or that much further out.
I agree, and I could see that being a problem, but at the same time, when you play the game, it's just very frustrating because the camera cannot centralize on either one of us or just zoom out, because at this point in time it's it halts the game, and that's an issue, and that we talked about. Not only that when we encounter a bug in the game, which I don't know how, but this was near the very end of the game where we don't even know how or why it did what it did to correct itself. It just did, and that was one of those most mind-boggling things I've watched on screen, because I'm just like, what did we do to make this work? And at that point in time, we were so frustrated, and I was like, you know what, fuck it, I don't care. I'm just gonna move on and let's just play the game, because I'm tired of trying to figure out why we're encountering bugs and why is this camera not accommodating for the two of us being on screen. Because I would have thought if you're gonna have at least two people on screen, and if that would happen, you would have a backup plan, such as, because since the game did elicit a more of like a Metroid, you can kind of go back and you can go in these nooks and crannies a little bit.
Secrets,
yeah. Had secret areas. I shouldn't say Metroid, because Metroid can always go
Mario's
back.
got some too.
Yeah.
More like Mario, where you can get
Mario's
if you
probably a
can
better
break
example.
away from the main path of the game, you can find a mushroom or coins or something like that. Similar in the way that you'd break away and you'd find points so we could upgrade our, there was a slight RPG element where we could add or we could pay with, what was it, like XP points or whatever,
like
and
you collect these bottle like potions or something,
or whatever,
yeah.
and we could get extra crap for our characters, and you could do it in a similar way, the way it's off the beaten path, like a Mario or something.
Yeah.
What did you oh, sorry.
It's all right.
No, like I said, a month. It's been a month. It's been a week, man.
This has been the bane of our existence. I don't know. I'm just kidding.
This isn't the worst game I've played. I should point that out. It's not a bad game. We're spending a lot of time on the evilness of trying to, but it's not. It really isn't. It's actually quite beautiful. I was going to ask you what your favorite character to play was. I think I know the answer. Not your favorite, but which one did you always snap to? Do you always feel like I feel like you had a character that you were always sticking to, or always?
When it came to like offensive and defensive, like I was always a knight, but I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, but the wizard for me was actually not so bad.
I feel like whenever we were running somewhere, I felt like you were either always the wizard or always the thief, which wasn't bad. I'm just saying I felt like I was always the knight, and I felt like I stuck with that one a lot because he can jump really high.
Yeah.
And whenever there were goblins, you could. Honestly, I don't really care for that part either. But when goblins would come out, you just pretty much just hammer down and slice stuff up, it looks great. Like, that's the thing I'm going to say about this game. That's the best possible thing is it looks awesome. But, man, like, I mean, there's nothing to just smashing down the X button and killing
It's not gratifying, no.
It doesn't further any puzzles. It doesn't further the story. It doesn't do anything. The boss battles don't really go anywhere. Sometimes they were difficult just enough for us to get by, but honestly, like, there wasn't anything really clever about most of them. Some of them were pretty cool, but
yeah, I would agree that the sporadic goblins intervening with your path was not. I mean, the only thing you got from it was just XP points, and I guess that's the best.
Oh yeah, I guess that's true.
I guess that's the best thing you could take out of that. But what it didn't do anything because the story itself was. I mean, at the point, like probably like 1/4 through the game at least, like I checked out by.
Talking about the story.
Yeah, like I checked out.
We're going right back into the negative because
no. I'm not trying. I'm just saying
it's
that.
Okay.
I'm just saying that 1/4 into the game, I just checked out by the story because
and why is that? I think it's just a flimsy story. I don't think there's anything. I don't think that's the point though.
No.
I think that this story was merely made to string along all these different levels and all these different puzzles. It gave context absolutely. For what you were doing, and I get it. I totally get that too. Like, yeah, I'm not sitting there gonna be like, gosh, I hate using this comparison because it's totally bad. But they always talk about the porno thing. Like the point of the porno isn't the story.
Yeah.
Like the point of the porno is the porno. Like is the naked lady in it. Like
I
hate using that term because it feels very sexist, but what I'm trying to say is that's an analogy that I'm trying to make is we have the ability now. We've played games where the story is very good and is the point of the whole game. And we've played story-driven games and stuff like that. Some games you're gonna go in, and sometimes they're just not the point.
They're not gonna click.
It's not. It's all about what is it all about here for you? What element of the game were you just like? Why come to Trine 2? Why would you say this is a good one? And this is almost like final word, almost. I feel like, but
Trine for me.
You want to? I mean, I've kind of exhausted all my stuff. By the way, I don't really have.
Trine 2, I think, is an interesting platform to experience because I don't think I've ever experienced a game that buggy, but at the same time.
Oh really?
Yeah, dude. I think this is one of the most buggiest games I've played. But
okay.
But at the same time, the level design, like the art, is just it keeps me coming back to it. Like it's almost like it's like I don't want to say an abusive relationship, but this kind of relationship was like, man, like this game doesn't really completely hinder my gaming experience, like wanting to play it, but at the same time, each level design was just captivating in every sense of the word.
The design? Or are you talking about the art in it? Oh,
the artwork,
the look, the graphics, the beauty of
it.
My,
like because there was when we got onto that beach and we saw that water. I remember us taking a moment to stop just to look at the water because we're both animation majors here,
we both
and
came out of animation school.
And working with water in general is one of the worst things to do, and especially at the time we had really, really bad computers. And so to see that water rendered at nighttime was gorgeous. The moonlight, the lighting was just breathtaking. The color palette in this game it's like bewildering. And when we play the game, itself, it's like these things are so they're juxtapositioning again. It's a juxtaposition for me because the gameplay itself is okay at best. It's okay. I had a good time because I got to play with my friend and I got to hang out with my friend in the flesh, and we got to see some really beautiful artwork too in the process. And it was just one of those things to admire something at the same time, but also in the same time here. You're just like, God, why is this game like this? Like, why do things not work the way they do? Why are these puzzles not as intuitive as we want them to be, or as they should be? Because it's like a medieval, fantasy type of game here, and at least from an art design standpoint, it revels in that wonderfully. And I think that's so, and it's so great to look on screen, but when you play, you're just like, that's why. When we started playing back with Trine 2, it was more like, okay, I'm gearing myself up now. We're going to do it. It wasn't that I wasn't in that frame of mind where I was like, we're going to play Trine 2. Yeah. And for me, it was like, take a deep breath, rub your hands together.
And this is supposedly the best of the series, I think.
Yeah.
Because I guess I hear that, because we played one, and one was okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. It's been so long since we've played it that I have a hard time remembering the difference between both games, 1 and 2. In fact, they both kind of mold together.
Yeah, they do.
I would say 2, I remember being way more breathtaking visually.
Yes, it was. Yeah, it is.
But it's not, I mean, it doesn't mean that 1 was that bad. I remember playing it thinking I had to play it for the story and stuff like that, but that quickly flew out the window. I was like,
it did.
Well, and I just realized it's just not that type of game. Or
it's not. No, it's not.
But I guess I hear Trine 3 is kind of mixed. Like, and also there's an element of dimension.
Foreground
and background type of stuff that you can go and do in the game that maybe didn't work out as well or something like that. I know it was early access when we started Trine 2.
Yeah.
And now it is fully out, I believe.
Yeah, it is.
And it was out maybe late last year, but like more to the end of last year. And it must not have reviewed very well or something like that.
No. It came out broken.
Critics wise, and it
came out broken. That's one of the biggest complaints.
But I'm not trying to deter anybody. I still want to try it. I still want to. I got
a humble bundle deal
and
for it.
Is it in there? Okay.
And it was like I dropped like $8 for like 6
for
games.
All these games, yeah.
And I'm like, well, at the worst, I spent like
I feel like
maybe like $2 on Trine 3 for
that. Is why I picked up Trine and why I really wanted to play it is because I've heard good things about it, and it looked beautiful from the screenshots and the videos, and I wanted to, and it was like $3, and I feel like we got that value out of it. I really do.
We did.
We did. I seem to think you and I are both pretty much on the same. But we were chit chatting the whole time we were playing this game and bitching about the same stuff. Yeah. But if the game makers are listening or something like that, or if anyone who is super attached to this game, like I feel like, or if you guys are super fans of this game, I understand why the appeal. I understand why it's really super good. SB and I, we step out of our comfort zone a little bit for this game. I think it's not something I don't think I would play on my own. I don't think I would just go on and be like, yeah, okay. This was more of an experiment from like, it's like $3. That's a low bar of entry, and we could play together, and we can get on this and hang out and
do that. It's a platformer. Sure. I mean, it's a medieval time, and
it looks gorgeous.
It looks good. So why not? I mean,
it doesn't have to be the greatest story ever written. You know, it doesn't have to be the best thing ever for me to enjoy it. I mean, you can take any of these games and rarely do you get an actual honest to good story, like that, a narrative for a game that honestly makes me feel like, oh, that's so good. I can't believe it. Like, I know I'm a Metal Gear fan and stuff like that. Me and Chris, you can listen back to that episode of us talking about Ground Zeroes and Phantom Pain. We both know that the storyline of Metal Gear is horseshit, and it's just dumb. Like, we both know that, but there's something about the interactivity of I'm the one that actually did this. Like, we talk as if we've made the jumps. When it was Pontius that killed that goblin, or it was Amadeus that did. Like, we live vicariously through those characters, and we talk as if we did it. And that's the interesting thing here, I think, is about these games is, oh yeah, we're going through these environments and we love them and stuff like that. We enjoy the stuff, but at the end of the day, like, you're right. I think our interactivity together on the couch, like jumping through this stuff and kind of going through some of the slog of figuring out the puzzles, but doing it because both of us have to move on, is weird and interesting. Because half the time, I'm going to bitch again real quick, half the time, like, we had to make sure that both of us were on screen to move on, and sometimes I would just respawn and I'd be right next to SB and I'd be like, I don't get why that happened, whatever, let's move on. Like, there were moments like that where it's just like there was inconsistencies in the rules of this game, and
I think that was that was the thing where
some jumps felt like we shouldn't have made those jumps, but we did.
Like, the rules of the game like changed or whatever it was. Like, I don't even to be honest with you, I don't think I even knew the rules of the game to be honest with you, like, because I felt like we were in a way cheating it the whole time, and it just felt like I don't even know what,
not the whole time, but it never once felt like completely clean. Like I'm trying to think of a good example, because I know you haven't really played very many Zeldas.
No, I haven't.
You've played the Portal games though, so you kind of know when you finish a thing in Portal, like, there's a satisfying, like, aha moment. I finished it. Haha. Like you feel smarter after having completed it. And here I never felt that once.
I never felt,
not even with a friend, I felt like that way. God, it was more like, oh, we survived that together, man. Good job. Like, let's keep moving. You know, it wasn't a let's just get to that bubble. God damn it. Like, it never felt satisfying, which is unfortunate, because you do have this very well realized, rendered environment that just looks so good. The story and the characters and stuff like that, I'm gonna go ahead and, I don't know why I'm so forgiving on that. Like, I'm like, oh, don't worry about it. It's flimsy. It doesn't really work for me. Whatever. I'm not that interested in what the Trine is or what they're doing or whose sister is what. You know, we were reading. There was like stuff we could read, and it would read it for us. It would even read it for us, and I skipped right past it.
Yeah.
Because I just didn't have any interest. And maybe I should give that stuff a shot. But honestly, I'm looking forward to trying out the DLC, at least, like the Goblin DLC, maybe on my own, maybe with you, I don't know, depending on how you feel. I'm looking forward to trying that out because it does look super good. Like, when we started the Goblin DLC, we were walking through like a desert land or something like that with scorpions and shit, and it looks freaking incredible. Like, it looks really good. It looks as good as the sea, the beach with the crabs and stuff like that. It was such a like, oh man, this looks so good. Like, I would come for that. and then that's about it. Like, I don't know. I wouldn't stay for much else. So I guess I've kind of exhausted, and that's really kind of my final thought there too.
Yeah, it's the game itself does not provide any like ultimately real incentive to actually play it, except for the art design itself, which is sad, but it's sad at the same time. And I don't want to say that like it sounds like we're saying this is like it sounds like it's a bad game. I don't think ultimately it's a bad game by any means necessary. It's a game that definitely has its issues, but the one thing that really does draw me is just playing with a friend, just so that I can have someone to talk to and really be like, am I the one imagining things right now that this is not making any sense for why the game is doing what it's doing? Just to have someone to vent with and vent at, that to me is in of itself is probably worth it, I suppose, maybe. But yeah, the art design is just really good too. The music is also very lovely too. It's the same guy who did Outlands and
oh, wonderful. Yeah, no, yeah, that was another part of it that I'm like, oh man, this is the time I really noticed it was when we were playing at the LAN party.
LAN party, yeah.
And where we both had headphones on and we're chatting to each other and stuff like that. You could hear the sounds, you could hear the sound effects, when we're sitting on my couch and stuff like that, like, it's just coming out of my TV and it just sounds fine and, whatever. But, like, it was the first time I kind of noticed it when I had it real close up to my head, hearing that stuff and knowing what such a good job that these creators did and stuff like that. Like, I think it's a good concept. In fact, I think it's a borrowed concept because I remember a game called The Three Vikings, The Lost Vikings. I'm not sure what it's called.
Something to that extent, yeah.
But it's from Blizzard, I remember. I think it's Blizzard, and it was each Viking had a different job. Like one of them had a shield, one of them had a sword, one of them had was able to do something. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And you could get reach up to an upper level if the shield knight or the shield Viking or whatever held his shield above his head, and then if you were the sword knight that could jump, you could jump on top of him and get to the upper level. You know what I mean? Like, you had to use. It was a single player game, but you had to utilize all three characters.
Interesting.
This one, if we hadn't made it clear and you don't know what Trine is, like, if you look up a YouTube video of it, you'll see a single player version of someone switching between three characters, and each of them have their own.
Yeah, they have
their own thing. I'm sure you know that as of right now because we're so deep in this, but it's one of those things that, like, it's a cool concept, and I know they tried realizing it fully throughout 3 different games, and then tried to even add a third dimension with the third game, like not just making it a side scroller, but making it like maybe almost a full on platformer with the third game. Yeah. But I don't know to what extent, but I feel like I would love to see this company. The company that made this developer keep going. I kind of feel like there's a good polished game here. All the things we're crying about the story and it's not that good and blah blah. Don't even worry about that. Just figure out how to make it. Yeah, I don't care at all. I feel like you guys gotta make the most beautiful game as possible because you guys are so good at that. At the same time, develop that proof of concept even further. So having said all that, okay, I'm ready to give my final score.
Go for it.
Do you want to give your final score first?
I'm good. No, you can go first, man.
Okay. You don't have anything else to add?
I'm actually good.
All right. At the count of 3, we both say our scores. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
6.
7. Oh. I think I like the game more than this. No, seriously. That's about where I would place it, and that makes sense, right? So. I thought it was cute how we both actually went along with that, and it wasn't just a joke. Anyways, it's one of those that I feel like it's worth the $2 or $3. Get it when it's a Steam sale. Do it. Yeah, I think these are two gamers that we always wait for the Steam sales. We're PC players usually. Mm-hmm. I play stuff on consoles too, and I also play handhelds and Nintendo systems. Yep. I'm open to a variety of different games. I'm telling you this from a perspective of someone who mostly plays on PC, that I think it's worth a look. I at least think the second game is worth a look.
I
You
would say,
don't
yeah.
also need to play. You do not need to play the first game.
No.
It introduces the concepts and it introduces them very well. And if you want to throw Frozen by a couple extra bucks, if it means anything to them, you can buy the game, and it's totally cool. Because I think the set together is actually really cheap too. I think it's like $5 or something like that. Maybe even less than that. But I think 2 is a better game. I think it's the concepts are more realized in that second one. I kind of wish they would have went further. They have apparently in 3, but maybe not, because I've yet to try it. But I feel like it's one of those things that, you know, if you're looking for something that is, what do you mean? What do you think? Who would seek out a game like Trine 2? Like what kind of? I mean, what do you? When would you be in the mood for a game like that?
I would be in the mood for Trine 2 if I was curious to see how someone would utilize a platformer mixed with puzzles. I think the rejuvenation, like why I'm, the reason like when I see a bunch of Mario games come out for like the Wii or anything like that, I get tiresome of that because I'm like, okay, I know it's gonna be super colorful. Like I know. Ben's over there like, oh my god.
Well, I've never played.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, praise the Lord, I love Mario, but that's only because I haven't played much Mario outside of World ever, and so now I'm suddenly finding out all about all these platformers and what makes a good platformer and studying them and reading all these write-ups about them. Yeah. So when I put that into the sorry, I just stopped delivery, but like when I put that into the formula of Trine 2, it makes it an interesting type of
yeah, no, I know. I agree. With Trine 2, it's first and foremost, it's the level design, like the not level design, art design, is really draws you in. That was one of the things that really took me by surprise when I was just like sifting through Steam and I heard about this game, and it was part of like a Steam sale. I think I got it, or a humble bundle, one or the other. And I just remember like, oh, what is this? You know, and I start looking through, you know, the video, screenshots, gameplay. I'm like, yeah, this actually looks really cool. This could be fun. And I knew immediately, like, Ben's always the one who's wanting to experiment with new games.
Yeah.
So you and I, like, not discard the other guys.
Of the four of us, you and I are probably more willing to try these types of games than them. And I think Josh did play it when it was like free on PSN.
He briefly mentioned about that, and he never expanded upon that at all.
I don't know what his opinions are of it. I'm assuming he probably played it, went, oh, that's quaint, and then probably moved on. I don't want to put words in his mouth. I don't want to say what I thought. Maybe he might be able to bring some coming month when he's on the show finally, that he can maybe show us what he feels like about that game, or if there's anything with that he can take away. Because I feel like even someone like Josh, who tends to play a certain type of game, which could be like more along the lines of action-y shooters and stuff. That's just what he's into. I feel like even he would have something interesting to say about a game like Trine 2 or just the Trine series.
Yeah.
So, yeah, at some point I would just be interested in hearing what he has to say, and I'd also be interested in hearing what maybe this is someone's first time playing a game like Trine 2. If you tweet at us on Twitter or something like that, or you find us on Facebook and write what you think about in the comment section of the episode when we release it, like. I would be very interested in someone's opinion of someone who doesn't normally play this game, because a concept like this is so different in comparison to what we've come before. There are shadows of other games like we've talked about, but if this is for someone's first time coming to a platformer, which it's not for us,
no.
I would be interested in hearing that opinion and seeing what they felt, because that would be like a fresh pair of eyes coming into this.
Absolutely.
So
I think it'd be cool.
So please write in.
Please write in. Thank you, Ben, for taking the time to play this game with me and enduring it.
Do we have something next?
We do. We do have a new game, and actually, it is Josh's pick. So
it's not a new game.
It's not. It's not a new game. But yeah, we still have our old list going on, and we're still holding on to it and going off by that. But Josh had picked Bayonetta.
Ooh.
And that's what our next game is.
So our next game is Bayonetta. It is available on PS3, Xbox 360, and do you know what the last one is?
Wii
U.
It's on the Wii U.
It's on the Wii U. If you buy a copy of Bayonetta 2, Bayonetta is on that disc, or it comes with it, or something like that.
That's cool.
So you can get. So really, what we should be playing is Bayonetta 2, but I don't have a Wii U. So I want a Wii U. I want to get one, but someday
we'll see.
I'm definitely going to be playing Bayonetta 2 though.
Okay.
If I get a Wii U.
So for all things co-op mode reviews, you can find us on the interwebs. We are at co-op. Oh my god. We are at co-op-modereviews.com. That's our website where you can stream all past episodes and current ones too, and along the future ones as well. We are on the iTunes as well. Please rate, review, and subscribe to the show. That would be lovely. We would love to hear from you.
Oh yeah, that helps.
That really
that helps people find the show.
It does.
There's an algorithm.
We have a Facebook page. Like the Facebook page. Share our posts too. We are on Twitter at Co-op Mode Reviews. We are not on the Google Play Network yet. I'm trying to figure that out myself, but I don't think Google has launched the application itself.
Come on, Google.
But also, there are various Android podcast apps that you can download. So I have not looked into that yet, but I'm trying to figure. I'm just waiting for Google because that seems to be the most. Everyone has Google Play apparently, and so it's like a one-stop shop. So I'm just gonna wait for that. But for now,
follow that droid.
We're on iTunes, on our website, and do this favor and share some love. And if you also have a game that you want to play and you want to share with us, submit it to us. We had
the worst thing we'll say is no.
Yeah, we actually had someone back in December actually send an email to us, and he had mentioned Remember Me and Ori and the Blind Forest.
You won't get to play it until like 2018, but
we can always rearrange the list. We can always rearrange the list for our listeners.
We got a big list of games coming up.
Oh, we do.
And they are pretty good. And we may even reach current gen here in the next.
We may.
I know. The thing is, that's the beauty of this show, I feel like. I know we're taking a little bit longer. We have a few more minutes left, and we'll be a full hour. But
okay,
it's one of those things that, like, that's the thing I love about this show is that we take the time to play games that we've always wanted to play or has been in our backlog forever. That's kind of how this show started. It's the backlog show. We have so much in our
backlog show.
We got so much like on our game piles. There's piles and piles of games that we have that we'd love to play to completion. Mm-hmm. The reality is mortality, and we'll die someday, and we'll never get to play these games. But it's true. But damn, dude, like we're gonna die trying. So, I guess that this is kind of a good excuse for me to play a game, and then be able to bring context to it. I love being able to, like, if we played Trine 2, that time put into it would have felt a little cheated. Mm-hmm. In some ways. I feel like that feels so venomous when I say it out loud. But to be honest, it makes it better when I'm able to talk about it with you.
It does.
But it's also it also just feels good to be able to speak about it in a forum that people care. I mean, if you're downloading the show, you want to hear it. So it's one of those things that, like, I feel like you can trust us as people with our opinions and stuff like that, because we're just regular income dudes that just play games that we don't have media access.
We've been doing this show for 4 years.
We don't collect.
We don't get anything.
We don't get money from EA for reviewing their games or anything like that. We don't get any free copies.
We
of shit.
spend our hard-earned money.
We buy these games and we play them and we tell you how exactly we feel about them, because that's what I would want from a show like that. So, I'm just happy to be able to provide that.
I know we're having multiple ending syndrome here, but I did mention early in the episode that that we had thought during our gameplay we had beat the level that was labeled the final chapter, and the game started continuing on, and I thought it was like one level, maybe a small level that led into the third game. Little did we know that we had the Goblin Menace DLC installed. So Ben and I, after playing hours,
we got Trine 2 the complete story.
Yeah.
So when you finish the game, DLC unlocks immediately, and it puts you right into those levels.
Yep.
So that's how it works. I actually didn't know that reading it.
Uh-huh.
So technically, we finished all of Trine 2, not the DLC.
Yeah.
And that's what I meant by like, I'll go back and try the DLC because it looks pretty good. Like there's a motivation other than like, let's all follow the Trine, and like they're all three of them follow it because something's going on. No, this is actually like what's his name? Amadeus's wife.
Yeah, it
gets stolen
apparently.
And
who gives a fuck?
And yeah. I like your attitude, sir. So yeah, it's one of those things where like, I'll give it a try.
Maybe, yeah, we'll give it.
my 7 out of 10 will definitely give it a try. But if it's 6 or below, screw it. I ain't doing it.
Sorry, guys. All right, we've been long-winded here. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll be back with the overly, hyperly, maybe awesome Bayonetta.
Hyperly.
That's a fucking word, right?